What's your reaction to rubrics?
Well, they're controversial.
Mm-hmm.
We use rubrics a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and we recommend them in our program.
Mm-hmm.
They're controversial because there are people who think that rubrics are stifle creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and in many senses, writing is more fluid and less formulaic than most rubrics allow.
Mm-hmm.
We do it because we made a decision to follow a certain pedagogy pushed by a fellow named George Hillocks, who basically says, who made an argument that you can't really teach to all the variations of writing within a particular genre or within a particular context, but you can teach certain basic principles, and you can design rubrics to reinforce those principles. Yeah. For example, in a standard rubric category in one of my for one of my papers might be just simply, is the paper organized according to one of 2 or 3 strategies? And I insist that my students use one of those strategies. That doesn't mean that they're restricted to those strategies, because if one of those students comes up with a way of doing things that totally knocks my socks off, that I hadn't thought of, I'll give them credit for it, and I won't knock them down.
Yeah.
A simple rubric that is complex in its usefulness, but the terminology is simple and it can be applied in all different kinds of courses. For example, we use these criteria: focus, purpose, development, tone and style, language conventions.
I always found before that when I would have them hand their papers into me, I never got the kind of quality I wanted. And so I really did a lot of thinking about why was that happening? Why is that happening? And came back after I had attended a rubrics workshop by Dr. Barbara Walford. I came back thinking, well, maybe it's because I'm really not setting out my expectations. And that's where she proposed using rubrics, developing rubrics, so that your expectations are known by the students, are very clear, and you set them right out there.
So what I tried to do with this is to come through and say, well, if I develop a 6-trait rubric, the students can see in advance and kind of know what those numbers mean. It might seem less subjective. And then the other thing is, while I can find details in the reports and let them see, no, this is where I see room for improvement. While I can do that individually and still give all of that detail, the rubric kind of puts that detail aside and says, here's how you're doing in clarity, or your ideas, and your way of expressing ideas is getting better.